lecture. Okay, it is 1:35. Then start lecture. Then I will lecture on the environmental chemistry, and that include air portion, water portion, soil portion, and after this, then paint and lubricant. In paint and lubricant, then what are the paint and lubricant? Then types of paint, lubricant, then function of lubricant, and requirement. Why we have to use paint and lubricant in machine, in materials. Now, first lecture is on the air pollution. Then I think all of you know about the air pollution. That Kevin, the air what we breathe mainly contains nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and other gases in small amount, xenon, krypton, then carbon dioxide 0.03 percentage, and these are the required material. If they are present, the air is suitable for breathing nitrogen, oxygen, argon 0.9 percentage, or gas. They include xenon, krypton in a small amount, and carbon dioxide not in large amount, only 0.03 percentage. But due to human activities, the air what we breathe may contain different unwanted substances like oxide of sulfur, nitrogen, chlorine, chlorofluoric gas that have been widely used in the used as coolant in refrigerator, then carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide from burning of fossil fuel and the leaves or plant leaf, and minute particle of unwanted chemicals and carbon, and smoke contain carbon and dust and fog. And smoke is released in the atmosphere by incomplete combustion of fossil fuel or any organic matter, then hydrocarbon and acid form. These are not required in the air, but due to human activities, mainly by human activities, they will contaminate with the air what we breathe. Then that air is not suitable for breathing, but by force we have to break it. There no alternate. And the effects of your person, then I will show four picture. The first is India Gate. Then how Europe is portrayed, the smoke and fog. And it's caused by human activities, running of vehicle on the road. And lockdown creates so much clear. The air is free from different type of portents. And the third is the Nepal's, the pictures of Nepal. In this case, also here is highly portrayed, but lockdown period, there somebody are painting the street and how much clear and how much clear. Mainly, the real portions are caused by mainly by human activities. The natural activities is automatically bans, and the air portion, if you are containing these unwanted chemicals, then that will effect on human health and also on plant. And short-term effect on human being is headache, then painful, pain in nose, throat, and eyes. Inflammation means unbearable pain, then coughing and painful breathing, then pneumonia, bronchitis, and irritation occurs in skin. And when exposed for a short time, then we will be affected by this disorder. And the long-term effect is the central nervous system, then headache and anxiety, and then disease related to heart, especially diseases like asthma and cancer. And in case of plant, dropping of leaf and the pollen when present, then that will cause to remove leaves, the main part of the plant, life of plant. If no leaves are there, then plants are not able to make their own food. But 0%, all leaves are green. And when protein increases, then dropping of leaf increases. And 70% leaf drop, then plant will not make require food themselves. In this way, the unwanted chemical present in air may cause effect on the human health and plant. Now, what do you mean by your portion? Then, when unwanted chemicals released in the atmosphere, either by natural activities or human activities, or when they are present, then that will affect the quality of air. The quality of air when affected, and that will cause when these chemicals or substances are present in the air, that will cause harmful effect to living things, plant and animal. So in this way, unwanted materials released by natural activities and human activities, and when they are present, that will cause adverse effect on human being and plant, and also change the quality of air. And if the air has changed quality, then when we breathe in this air, then that will cause harmful effect to living things that include animals and plants. And the air pollutants, the unwanted chemicals are known as air pollutants. Air pollutants has been classified on the basis of the state of matter into gaseous pollutant and solid pollutant. Gaseous pollutants include oxide of sulfur, oxide of nitrogen, chlorofluorocarbon that has been widely used as coolant in refrigerator, then oxide of carbon, and carbon dioxide is essential, but not in large amount, in less amount, to make whole earth green, and ozone and methane. These pollutants are in gaseous state, so they are known as gaseous pollutants. Now, the air contains solid pollutants like dust, pollen grains, smoke particles, smog. Smoke means the smoke and fog, and that refers to hazy air, means brown air that makes the breathing difficult, and that makes the low visibility on the road at daytime. And again, the air pollutants also classified on the basis of source into two types, primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. And primary pollutants are such pollutants that are directly released into atmosphere by natural or human activities. For example, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, directly emitted into atmosphere. Then NO2 gas, SO2 gas, hydrocarbon, and particulate. Particulate matters mean the solid or liquid tiny particles suspended in air is known as particulate matter. PM, particulate matters. Particulate matters mean any mixture of solid, particle or liquid droplet that remain suspended in air. Dust particle, ash particle, and acid droplet, they are the example of particulate matter. When they are known as prime because they are released directly into the air. And next is the secondary pollutant. A secondary pollutant is different from primary pollutants, but the pollutants that are formed by the chemical reaction between primary pollutants and other chemicals. In this way, primary pollutant react with other chemicals within the air and form form the, so for example, ozone. Ozone is present at the two layer of atmosphere, lower and higher, upper. The ozone present in the upper atmosphere is good, but ozone present in the lower atmosphere is bad. That is called ground level ozone. Next is PAN, peroxyethyl nitride, and photochemical smog, like the smoke formed by means of by uh, in presence of light, then nitric acid, sulfuric acid, they are formed and released in the atmosphere by chemical reaction between primary pollutants and other chemicals. For example, ground level ozone, how it is formed, the nitrogen dioxide present in the air composes in place of sunlight into nitric oxide and nitrogen oxide. The nitrogen oxide react with the ozone, the oxygen present in the uh, air and form ozone. In this way, ground level ozone is formed only when the Air contain nitrogen dioxide as pollutant. And next is the photochemical smog. To form photochemical smog, then oxide of nitrogen, mainly nitrogen dioxide, react with the volatile organic compound VOC in pure sunlight that will form photochemical smog. That is called brown type of haze above city, and that will cause lower visibility on the road at daytime. And next is the pan peroxyacetyl nitrate, a secondary pollutant present in the photochemical smog, that is present in the photochemical smog. It's thermally unstable, and this photochemical smog, that pan is released into our atmosphere by the chemical reaction between primary pollutants NO2 gas and the open chain hydrocarbon in presence of sunlight. In this way, primary pollutants reacts with other chemical in the atmosphere when then that will form secondary pollutants. The directly released pollutants are known as the primary, and secondary pollutants are such pollutants which are released into atmosphere by chemical reaction between primary pollutants and the other chemicals in the atmosphere. Now, next is the gaseous pollutant. The example is carbon monoxide. And in this case, I will discuss on how carbon monoxide released into atmosphere and what are their harmful effects. And first, carbon monoxide released into atmosphere by two ways: human activities and the natural activities. Now, first, human activity. How carbon monoxide released into atmosphere by human activities. Now, incomplete combustion of fuel in automobile industries and oil refinery. When fuels used in the automobile industry are burned in less amount of oxygen, then that will form carbon monoxide. And next, second is reaction between carbon dioxide and carbon containing material. That reaction is carried out in the blast furnace where metals has been extracted from its ore. And in this process, then carbon monoxide is utilized. Carbon monoxide is produced by the chemical reaction between carbon dioxide and carbon containing molecule. That is, the reaction is carried out in the blast furnace. In blast furnace, metals will be extracted. In this process, the metals are extracted from ore, and in this case, then first metals change it into oxide. From oxide of metals, then carbon monoxide form can reduce metal oxide into metal. In this process, then carbon monoxide produced in blast furnace has been utilized for the production of metals from its oxide. In this, a large amount of carbon monoxide has been utilized as powerful reducing agent to reduce metal oxide into oxide. In this way, in the extraction process of metal from the ores of metals, then carbon monoxide has been utilized as powerful reducing agent to extract metal from their oxide. And that reaction is carried out in the blast furnace. And blast furnace, you have iron. Uh, then plus two level, then you have already studied about the blast furnace, extraction of iron from iron pyrite. And from third process, decomposition of carbon dioxide at high temperature. From this process, very small amount of CO2, CO gas is released. Only 1% decomposition of CO2 gas into carbon monoxide at 1745 degrees Celsius, and 5% decomposition occurs at the 1940 degrees Celsius. From that third process, the release of carbon monoxide will be very less. And if the reaction being reversible, then very less amount of carbon monoxide gas released from the third human third process, carbon dioxide released by human activity. The carbon dioxide when present in the air, that will cell decomposes at only at high temperature. Carbon dioxide when present, carbon dioxide released by human activities. In this way, this third reaction is related to production of carbon monoxide by human activities. It is indirect. Now, next is natural or non-anthropogenic sources of carbon monoxide. Naturally, carbon monoxide is into atmosphere. How? Number one is volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruption when occur, that will release large amount of solid and gaseous product, and that include carbon monoxide. Natural forest fire. The first fire will be caused by two ways, by human being and by natural. And by natural process, they started by lightning, and with small percentage of first fire caused by slow combustion of dry fuel such as sawdust and leaf. When sawdust and leaves that are that are present in the forest will be burned slowly, and from that process, then when these fuels are burned in complete combustion, then that will release carbon monoxide. And next is the atmospheric oxygen of methane. Methane is formed in the moist places or marshy places by decomposition of organic matter. And so in marshy places, a gas will be bubbling. That gas is methane gas. That methane gas, when come in contact with atmospheric oxygen, that is changed into carbon monoxide and water. In this way, methane gas released in marshy place or moist places by bacterial decomposition of organic matter, dead bodies, then that methane gas react with the oxygen present in the atmosphere and change into carbon monoxide. In this way, and these natural activity will be automatically balanced, not more. The mainly caused by human activities. Now, effect of carbon monoxide on human body, then dizziness, weakness, death, then headache, then disorientation, mean, then sense of direction, then condition lost in the sense of direction, the impairment of cerebrum function, mean brain function. And impairment means damaging or decrease of the cerebral function. Then after that, then person will go into coma. Then disturbance in visual activities. Then disease of the heart and respiratory. Then muscle becomes weak, muscle cramp, and then seizure means sudden uncontrolled disturbance in brain occur when carbon monoxide present in large amount, nausea, then the state of vomiting, then aggravation of the patient disease. When uh, the disease which are present in the human being, that will that will again appear in the human being. Then when CO2
Excuse me,
gas,
sir.
Hagamani,
और
huh? What?
आवाज आवाज अलि अड्केर आइरहेछ सर.
Oh, you keep a sound.
Sir.
And effect of carbon monoxide on human.
Sir.
First, dizziness mean weakness, headache, and disorientation mean lost. You need to problem होला हैन. Impairment of the cerebrum function means then decrease in the function of cerebrum function, and when that occurs, then the person will go coma. Then disturbance in visual and disease of the heart and respiratory. Then the muscle become weak, the muscle cramp, and seizures being sudden uncontrolled disturbance in brain. Sir. And aggravation of the pre-existing human begin. If atmosphere has carbon monoxide, then मान्छेमा भएको चाहिँ पहिला पहिलाको डिजिज पनि फेरि बल्झिएर आउँछ. सर फुल स्क्रिन गर्नु न, फुल स्क्रिन अलि सानो सानो देखेछ. ए हो र हुन्छ म फुल स्क्रिन गरौँ है. साउन्ड देखेछ, फुल स्क्रिन गर्दाखेरि कसरी फुल स्क्रिन गर्नु यहाँ जुम इन गरौँ है. साउन्ड देखेछ मैले ल ठिक छ ल भयो ओके भयो है. यसका The effect of carbon monoxide on human being मा के हुन्छ भन्ने त्यहाँ देखाइसकेको छ यसपछि आएर अहिले घुमेर के गयो no, effect of carbon monoxide on human being. This is the very dangerous effect. And carbon monoxide, when present in the atmosphere, and that will create disturbance in transport of oxygen from lungs to the body cell. Why? Due to formation of carboxyhemoglobin. And this carboxyhemoglobin is formed in the blood by the reaction between carbon monoxide and hemoglobin of blood. At normal state, the hemoglobin react with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin when present in the blood, and that, that will causes flow transport of oxygen from lungs to the body cells. And when air contains carbon monoxide, and that will disturb transport of oxygen from lungs to the body cell. Why? Because the carbon monoxide react with the hemoglobin of blood and change into carboxyhemoglobin. When carboxyhemoglobin is formed, then that will disturb the transport of oxygen from lungs to the different body cells. And when that happens, then that will cause serious deficiency of oxygen occurs in different cell and body. Then after that, then person suffers from headache, then suffocation, and after last is death. The normal percentage of carboxyhemoglobin in blood is 0.5 percentage. When this percentage is increased, then that will cause deficiency of oxygen in different body cells due to formation of carboxyhemoglobin by the reaction between carbon monoxide and hemoglobin of blood. And effect of carbon monoxide on environment. And carbon monoxide doesn't cause climate change directly. Why? From carbon monoxide, then carbon monoxide is produced. The carbon dioxide is responsible for causing greenhouse effect and global warming. So carbon monoxide causes indirect effect on greenhouse, indirect effect like greenhouse effect and global warming. And when temperature of the earth increase, then the the water of land of sea increases and changing equipment. And when global warming occurs, the temperature of land and sea increases and changing in ecosystem, and that will increase storm activity and causing other extreme weather event. When the water of sea increase is warm up, then volume will increase, and that will causes the flooding in the sea and ocean. The global warming is responsible for flooding in sea and ocean. And in this way, carbon dioxide formed from carbon monoxide is responsible for causing greenhouse effect, then global warming. And carbon dioxide, how released into atmosphere by two ways, natural or non-anthropogenic sources of carbon monoxide. First is when we respire, then that will release carbon dioxide and take in oxygen. Now, decay of plants and animal. When plant and animal decay, and that will release different type of gases that include carbon dioxide. And natural forest fire. Then fire occur in forest, and that will emit carbon dioxide and also carbon monoxide. And volcanic eruption when occurred, that will release large amount of solid and gaseous matter that include carbon dioxide. And human or anthropogenic sources of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide released in the atmosphere by burning fossil fuels. Fossil fuel mean petrol, diesel, etc., which has been widely used in thermal power plant, in vehicle, in industry, and carbon from fossil fuel when burned in oxygen, and that will produce carbon dioxide. And next is the cement production. From cement production, the 5% humiliated carbon dioxide is released In cement production, the breaking of carbonate, rocks like limestone and chalk. Limestone and chalk, these are the calcium carbonate. When calcium carbonate is burned or heated, that will release calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. In this way, in plus two level, then uh, you have an idea about the how what happens when carbonates of calcium, magnesium, when on heating, that will change carbon dioxide and calcium oxide. Now deforestation, then people will involve that process to clear the land and for the agriculture. In this process, large amount of trees will be uh, will be burned. Then burning of trees will cause will release carbon dioxide gas. And in this process, number of trees will be decreased, and then there will be less amount of carbon dioxide consumed by trees. When we when we do deforestation, then that will cause decrease in the number of trees. Number of trees when decreases, and that will decrease the consumption of carbon dioxide from plant. And effect of carbon dioxide on environment, the excess, the safe limit for carbon dioxide is 350 ppm. 350 ppm. ppm means parts per million. Safe required amount is only 350 ppm, but that amount has been exceeded since 1988. From 1988, then that amount has been exceeded by human activities, and that will cause when atmosphere air contain more carbon dioxide, that will cause greenhouse effect. That is the heating of Earth atmosphere due to trapping of longer wavelength by carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Then that will cause global warming. Global warming means gradual increase in overall temperature of Earth atmosphere, generally due to greenhouse effect caused by increased level of carbon dioxide or CFC gas or methane or other pollutants. And when global warming occurred, and that will create an overabundance of the greenhouse gases that trap the additional heat, which leads to melting of ice cap and rising the ocean level, resulting flooding in sea and water. Temperature increases, the volume increases. Water level increases. Then when water level increase, that will cause flooding in sea. In this way, greenhouse effect, then global warming will cause the flooding and will lead to the melting of ice. Melting of ice, when ice melt, and that will increase the volume of water, then that will cause the flooding in sea. And percentage of greenhouse gases in atmosphere, and carbon dioxide has been declared as most important greenhouse gas that will cause greenhouse effect is 74%, and greenhouse effect caused by carbon dioxide is 74%. Then methane 17%, nitrogen oxide is 8%, halocarbon only 1%. Carbon dioxide is chief greenhouse gases that results mainly from human activities and cause global warming and climate change. And carbon dioxide is main greenhouse gas that will cause greenhouse effect and then global warming. And Mauna Loa observatory is the atmospheric base station located on the Mauna Loa on the island of Hawaii United. And that base station has been monitoring the amount of carbon dioxide throughout the world. And the data presented in the slide, and from the data, every year the amount of carbon dioxide is increasing. Now, in July 2018, the carbon dioxide is 408.71 ppm. And just after 1 year, 2019 July, then 1411.74. And after 1 year, then in July 220, 414.38 ppm. In this way, every month that base station has monitoring the amount of carbon dioxide in the world. And this is not that is located on the Mauna Loa, on the
Excuse me,
island
sir.
of Hawaii.
त्यो नर्मल चाहिँ कति हुनुपर्ने हो, कति ppm हुनुपर्ने हो?
350. Safe limit is 350. Normal भन्ना पनि safe is 650. But from since 1988, that amount has been increasing day by day due to human activities. And carbon dioxide when more, then and carbon dioxide released by human activity, by different industry, vehicle running, thermal power plant, carbon dioxide will be released. But the number of plants go on decreasing in the earth. And effect of global warming, effect of carbon dioxide, that means effect of global warming on environment, increase of earth average temperature by 0.08 degree per year. हरेक वर्ष 0.08 ले टेम्परेचर बढेछ यस कारण, and that has been recorded by Goddard Institute for Space Study in NASA, US. And the global warming change in the regional climate, and that affect forest, crop, field, water supply. Forest burn हुन्छ, crop production less हुन्छ, फिल्डहरू के भनेदेखि सुक्ने काम हुन्छ है. Then disturbance in water supply. Then the global warming causes melting of polar ice. Polar ice when melt, that will form glacier, and glacier then go go to the sea and ocean. Then that will increase the volume of water and cause flooding in the sea and ocean. And global warming, due to global warming, the ocean warm up. After warming the ocean, then it heats the surrounding earth, causing hurricane. Hurricanes mean extremely impressive force of nature, and that will cause very large damage. Hurricanes mean a storm with the violent wind, and that will cause unbearable damage. And effect of global warming on human health. Then global warming caused the tropical disease like malaria and dengue that will spread to larger region. Dengue, malaria, and long lasting, more intense heat wave cause more death and illness. Flood, भारी पहिरो आउने भयो, सुक्खापन हुन्छ, त्यसपछि अबदेखि हङ्गर र malnutrition. Then more powerful and dangerous hurricane and cause serious accident. Then water and due to that, then water and food-borne disease. The food will be easily damaged by higher temperature.
सर यो ग्लोबल वार्मिङले फ्लड र ड्राउट एकैचोटि कसरी ल्याउँछ सर? अथवा यो ड्राउट ग्लोबल वार्मिङले चाहिँ ड्राउट चाहिँ कसरी ल्याउँछ?
फ्लड बाढी पनि आउँछ, सुक्खापनले सुक्खा हुन्न, टेम्परेचर के भनेदेखि ल्यान्ड सुक्छ, ल्यान्ड सुकेपछि भनेदेखि के हुन्छ, हङ्गर किन हुन्छ, के भनेदेखि त्यहाँ नो क्रप प्रोडक्सन, अनि के हुन्छ, कुपोषण हुन्छ. यस कारण बाढी पनि आउँछ, सुक्खा पनि हुन्छ, त्यसपछि आएर हङ्गर एन्ड मार्सन, के भने एकैसाथ आउने हुन, स्टेप बाई स्टेप आउने. फ्लड आउने कोही छ हैन, टेम्परेचर इन्क्रिज, then ice will melt, then form glacier that will go into ocean and sea. The volume of water increase, then flooding occurs. When global warming occurs, then that will cause drought. All the lands will be dried and difficult to get crop production. Okay?
Okay, sir.
And sulfur dioxide. SO means SO2 gas and SO3 gas. SO3 gas is formed by the oxidation of sulfur dioxide in presence of catalyst. The main is SO2 gas. And how released into atmosphere? Natural or non-anthropogenic source of SO2 gas. First is the oxidation of H2S gas. The how H2S gas released into by species by bacterial decomposition of organic matter. And in this process, H2S gas will release. That H2S gas will react with the atmospheric oxygen and form H2O gas. And H2S gas released in the massive place. And other processes where biological decay गरौँ जब biological decay हुन्छ त्यसपछि के भने that will emit release H2S gas. H2S gas when there then combine with oxygen and change into SO2 gas and water. Massive place means moist place. And volcanic erosion. Volcanic erosion release large amount of solid and gaseous product that may contain SO2 gas. And SO2 gas frequently found in the natural gas. And next is the human or anthropogenic sources of SO2 gas. Now, when we burn fossil fuel in vehicle, automobile, industry, and the fossil fuel may contain sulfur. And when we burn fossil fuel, the sulfur present in fossil fuel will change into SO2 gas by oxidation. Fossil fuel containing sulfur, example, petrol and petroleum. And SO2 gas change into sulfur trioxide, and this reaction is reversible. And next is, then we need zinc, we need copper, we need mercury, we need metal like iron. But how we make metal, and this is known as extraction of metals from their ore. In this process, then ore of metals are seen into oxide of metals. In this process, then large amount of CO2 gas is released, and that process was carried out by human being. And because human being need different type of metals, correct? Copper, mercury, zinc, iron. In this process, then heating of these ore, roasting of these ores seen into oxide. And in this process, not only oxide is formed, that also form SO2 gas. Now, effect of SO2 gas on human health, then in addition to eye, respiratory tract, and difficulty in thought problem, then difficulty in breathing, increase in concentration of atmosphere. Then when SO2 gas increase, that will cause lung cancer, similarly. Prostophonicity, SO2 gas बनाएको SO2 gas copper turning like sulfuric acid मा हिट गर्दाखेरि आउँछ त्यो ग्यास चाहिँ ल्याबमा आउँदाखेरि कस्तो के भन्ने कार्य चाहिँ समस्या हुन्छ you have felt SO2 gas leak यसका चाहिँ that will large amount of lung cancer. And yes, SO2 gas leads to the formation of sulfuric acid. Wow. SO2 gas react with oxygen in moist condition and form just 2SO4 sulfuric acid gas, which is 20 times more irritant than SO2 gas. In this way, from SO2 gas that will form sulfuric acid by reaction with oxygen in moist air. And that will, if SO2 gas present, that will cause asthma and bronchitis as well as heart disease. And children is more vulnerable. Why? Children have less developed lung. SO2 ग्यासले चिल्ड्रेनहरूलाई धेरै असर पार्ने हुन्छ किनभने चिल्ड्रेनहरूमा चाहिँ यो लङ्सहरू राम्रोसँग विकास भएको हुन्न. And effect of SO2 gas in environment. In environment, then marble, limestone, mortar, metal dissolve how? SO2 gas reacts with oxygen in moist condition and form sulfuric acid, and that will dissolve marble, limestone, mortar, and metal, and that will cause protective coating on metals when present lose their protective ability. The coating of metals will be lost by acid form by reaction between sulfur dioxide gas and oxygen in moist conditions. And due to smoke formation, SO2 gas also forms smog. Smog means smoke and fog, and that will reduce visibility on the road. And deposition of sulfuric acid damage trees, soil, and aquatic life in water body. यदि पवनको पानी एसिड छ भनेदेखि त्यहाँ माछाहरू मर्ने भयो, भ्याउटा मर्ने भयो. यस कारण चाहिँ एसिड यदि चाहिँ बन्द कसरी बन्ने this photo gas will cause acid rain. This photo gas react with moist with water in the atmosphere to form acid, and that will drop on the ground as acid. That's called acid rain, and that will form acid rain. How form? Sputum gas react with water of atmosphere and form acid that will form on the ground as acid. That's called acid rain, and cause and sputum gas when present cause the opening of stomata, resulting in the excessive loss of water, then inhibit the process of photosynthesis. How? Then you experiment you have done, I think you have done in the chemistry laboratory
Excuse me,
uh,
sir.
in the experiment of the preparation of the SO2 gas. SO2 gas prepare गर्दाखेरि त्यो SO2 ग्यासले के गर्छ प्लान्टको लिफलाई कलर चेन्ज गर्छ प्लान्टको लिफ ग्रीन थियो नि त्यो लिफलाई चेन्ज इन्टु डिक्लोराइज गरिन्छ and when plant leaf are decolorized and when no chlorophyll content, then plants are not able to make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Sorry.
Excuse me, sir.
ए यहाँ झन् के भन्ने यहाँ मैले कहाँ झन् त्यो भयो यहाँ झन् यो त स्लाइड कहाँ गयो फेरि एकछिन भयो है
स्लाइड सकेर होला सर
है किनभने यो इनहिबिट प्रोसेस अफ फन्सन के भनेदेखि तिमीले के भनेदेखि दियो नि यो +2 पढ्दाखेरि SO2 ग्यास बनाउँदाखेरि चेक गरे SO2 भएको ग्यास जारमा कुनै प्लान्टको लिफ हाल्दाखेरि के हुन्छ द्याट विल ब्रिज मिन्स डिक्लोराइज यस कारण त्यसले गर्दाखेरि जब लिफमा नो क्लोरोफिल भएपछि बाइ द प्रोसेस अफ फोटोसिन्थेसिस देन प्लान्ट विल नट मेक देयर ओन फुड त्यस कारणले गरी द्याट विल स्टप द प्रोसेस अफ फोटोसिन्थेसिस त्यस कारण यो के भने केमिस्ट्री पढ्दाखेरि बेसिक कन्सेप्टहरू धेरै आयो भनेदेखि भेरी इजी टु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड अघि भाइले भने फ्लोड यो बाजी र सुक्खा कुन कसरी हैन ग्लोबल वार्मिङ गर्दाखेरि के भनेदेखि यो आइस मेल्ट के भनेदेखि यो आइस मेल्ट हुन्छ आइस मेल्ट भएर के बन्छ ग्लेसियर बन्छ ग्लेसियर कहाँ बन्छ सीमा जान्छ ओसनमा जान्छ when glaciers add to sea and water then volume of water increases अनि के हुन्छ बढी आउन अनि ग्लोबल टेम्परेचर इन्क्रिज भएपछि के हुन्छ यो ल्यान्डहरु सुक्छ ल्यान्ड फाट्ने गर्छ है अनि के भनेदेखि नो क्रॉप प्रोडक्सन हुन्छ त्यहाँ हुन्न त्यसकारण हंगर हुन्छ अनि के भने गर्मी भएपछि के हुन्छ देन दैट विल कज माल न्यूट्रिसन फ्लोडिङ गर्दाखेरि के भनेदेखि के हुन्छ विभिन्न चाहिँ यो